LA Times, Sunday edition, front page, right there. A game changer. State law limits HOA fines to $100. And where this thing went was even more unbelievable.
Absolutely viral.
What was so shocking about this was huge. This was exciting. This was exciting in and of itself. It hit such a nerve.
Oh, yeah.
That it got picked up by Associated Press, Yahoo, MSN. I mean, this thing just went AOL. It went gangbusters.
I'm Luke Carlson, and for almost 2 decades, my law firm, LS Carlson Law, has been at the forefront of defending homeowners against overreaching HOAs. We're not just leading the charge, we've created the go-to playbook on how to fight back effectively. Join us as we delve into the world of HOA disputes, sharing insights from our extensive experience and landmark victories. Throughout this podcast, we'll bring you in-depth interviews, demystify complex legal principles, and provide practical tips to safeguard your rights. While the information provided shouldn't be taken as legal advice, our aim is to empower you with the knowledge, strategies, and real-life success stories needed to navigate and overcome the challenges posed by overreaching HOAs. Hi, Luke Carlson of LS Carlson Law and the host of Bad HOA. Welcome back. Marty, we're back in the studio.
Back in the studio. The last one was fun. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, back in saddle.
Feels like it's been a while since we've been in this in the studio here.
100%. As
the lights feel bright.
They do, as opposed to the sun.
Yeah, as opposed to the sun and the wind.
A lot of wind.
Can we talk about how windy that was? We got this beautiful. At the beginning of the last podcast, let's talk about the last podcast, and I'll tell.
Yeah, let's start there. Let's talk about
Yeah.
sort of the trip to Sacramento.
Yeah.
The podcast we shot up there, and really sort of the progress that we made.
Yeah,
during
let's
our trip.
get into it.
Yep. So, I guess I want to start by saying that it was sort of the catalyst for it was AB 130.
Yep.
The groundbreaking law, the shift, the momentum, the legal legislative momentum that has shifted now towards the homeowner. That's what we started to see.
For the people that aren't religious watchers of the show, which I assume most people are.
We're getting a lot of followers now, which is great.
That they have not seen the last episode of us going to Sacramento and talking about AB 130. Let's give them the 2-sentence recap of what AB 30 is.
Yeah, and as we've discussed, especially on that show, AB 130 is really Sacramento identifying a big problem within the HOA space, specifically fines.
Yep.
And historically, HOAs were running rampant on fining homeowners.
Yes.
$100 fine, $500 fine, $5,000 fine, and it got so out of control. Sacramento woke up and I said, you know what? This is so out of control. This fine system is being weaponized. AB 130 put a cap on fines.
Which is huge because they would weaponize this to the point. I mean, there's national news on this, even in that John Oliver video, that they weaponize it to such an extent they would repo the house.
Right.
Which is mind-boggling.
Well, yeah, there was ways that they were, doing just insane fines.
Yes.
And those fines would then be cross-leveraged into some sort of foreclosure.
Yes.
And next thing you know, someone loses their house because their mailbox didn't conform.
Yeah, it is insane. So California looked at this and said enough's enough and made some sweeping changes to at least that. And if you look at the comments, if you go on the deep interwebs and you hear, this is where a lot of contention is within the fines. That's where a lot of people have it's parking violations, but it's mostly in the fines. That's where people have the biggest problem.
Well, we've been talking about it for quite some time. And the way I see it, our approach to this from day one has been advocacy for our clients.
Yeah.
100% homeowners. We don't represent HOAs, only the homeowner. This podcast is really an informational push to empower the homeowner. And then, of course, the book, Bad HOA.
Yeah.
And as I see it, with our push for reform, which is really going in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic for California and where we're headed. With the trip to Sacramento, we had amazing conversations with some real power players.
Yeah.
And I don't remember one person saying, yeah, I disagree with AB 130, or I did not hear, I think HOAs need more power.
Well, even some of the people that were, we'll call them heavy hitters around there, even they had stories about HOAs, or their families had stories. If you recall, it was just unbelievable. You bring up, we talked a little bit about the book, and they instantly jumped into some story, and I feel like that's been a common theme, at least when you say I'm an HOA lawyer. Everyone has a story about a bad HOA, which was really insightful, and even these people that live and breathe Sacramento, even they've had enough. They've had enough.
They're sick of the overreach. They're sick of the abuse. And I think they're truly sick of the weaponization of fines.
Yeah.
So I think that was an incredible trip.
Yeah.
It moved the needle, in my opinion, in terms of spreading the word, getting the word out there.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is all of a sudden we have the LA Times story.
Yeah. While we're in Sacramento, it was a real treat.
It was very serendipitous.
Yeah.
Because
we're literally leaving the Capitol.
Yes.
We're on our way back from the Capitol, and the email pops through that the LA Times is going to be running an article on AB 130 as we're there for AB 130, leaving the Capitol. It just doesn't, you can't write this stuff.
You cannot. And, the fact that they, I was very flattered that they chose us to opine in that story. We were sort of on obviously the homeowner side.
Yeah.
And, it was very interesting because, AB 130 was such a step in the right direction. It was the first domino.
Yeah.
Many dominoes that are going to fall.
Yeah.
And we'll touch upon that maybe down the road. But for the LA Times to put it on the front page and to say to us, what is our position? And our position was, this has been long overdue. This is a course correction that needed to happen. And so, we come out with that position. Interestingly enough, they had the other side opine.
Yeah. Well, let's show the people.
Yeah.
This is LA Times Sunday edition, front page. Right there. A game changer. State law limits HOA fines to $100. Front page. And where this thing went was even more unbelievable.
Absolutely viral.
What was so shocking about this was huge. This was exciting. This was exciting in and of itself. LA Times front page about this. And we can get into the specifics of this. But it hit such a nerve.
Oh, yeah.
That it got picked up by Associated Press, Yahoo, MSN. This thing just went AOL. It went gangbusters. And the comments about, we'll talk a little bit about the article and what it has in it. But the comments on there were absolutely amazing. So if you want to dive into the article itself.
Well, it was interesting too. So you read the heading for it, but the subheading is California experts and lobbyists are surprised by new cap on levies for defying rules. And so where a lot of the comments were focused, right? So you had, and I'm not going to name names of the law firms that really support these HOAs. And, I think that this law really impacted the way that they could do what they do.
Yeah.
But they got eviscerated in the comments. And I think rightfully so, because, if you're looking at this is, in my opinion, a absolutely wonderful law. And if you are, let's say you're on the other side of it, if you're a well-functioning HOA, you don't weaponize fines, then fine, you have fines. And it almost forces you to look at better ways to resolve disputes.
Yeah.
It sort of forces a more dynamic way of thinking about it. Listen, if there's a dispute with a homeowner, let's be neighbors. Let's be reasonable. Maybe use the IDR process, as opposed to immediately jumping to let's fine them to death.
If you're a well-functioning HOA, you don't even care.
Correct.
This doesn't apply to you.
Correct.
It doesn't matter.
But the lobbyists for the HOA, they're up in arms, and the attorneys are up in arms because it really limits what they can do.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, a lot of the misconduct that I've seen over the years really comes from overreach and abuse of power. Yeah. And, if this is hitting the nerve on the other side, if the lobbyists are getting upset about this, if the attorneys are getting upset about this, it says a lot. I don't even have to say anything
100%.
Because their reaction is enough.
100%. 100%. So the story goes into this lovely lady that made some changes into her own home. I believe it was a condo. Yep. And then it goes into I will give LA Times a ton of credit. They took both sides of the story, right? They heard her story, and then they went to a law firm that represents HOAs, and then they interviewed yourself to get your side of the story. And if I may, and I will say it, so you don't have to, but I thought, based on the comments, I think that my sentiment is echoed here. It felt like the firm that represented the HOA just felt really out of touch.
I think that there is a disconnect that's happening they call it the industry now.
Yeah.
In this world where, if you look at HOAs, if you back out and you say, okay, what's the function of an HOA? I mean, at the end of the day, it's preserving fair market value.
Yes.
It's to sort of regulate a community, keep harmony, keep community standards. And it should not be this huge profit-making machine.
It should be to make your life better.
Correct.
It should make your experience and your home better. That's what it should be for. And it has gained such a poor reputation. Every person that you ever mentioned at HOA, I have yet to hear someone say either something that wasn't or that was positive. It's always negative.
I think too that's what put a lot of how do I say this? I felt an obligation, in a lot of way, in a good way, not in a bad way, but what we wanted to do was, you're looking at all these horror stories, and we have so much insight. We've been in it so long, and we actually have solutions.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you look more recently at what we've been doing, with trying to empower homeowners through the podcast, by putting out the book, we want to give them the resources. We want to give them the knowledge, because right now there's no one else doing that.
Yeah.
In a real way.
Yeah.
And to, push the reform, to get to Sacramento, to talk to the right people, to continue this narrative, to apply the pressure on Sacramento, let them know, hey, AB 130 was awesome, but there is much more work to be done.
That's what I'm really excited for, is the opportunity to continue this in like a real tangible way. The relationships that we've made and the positivity that we've received from our efforts to continue to push the reform narrative have been overwhelmingly positive.
Well, we're on the right side of it too. Yeah. And the other thing that I like.
Well, I think that's the juxtaposition of what I was saying about the other side. It felt so, the HOAs just felt, it just felt so out of touch. You have the yin and the yang in here, and the opposition side it just felt so out of touch. And the comments really echoed that sentiment from just a basic homeowner's perspective.
Yeah, we have some of the comments.
Yeah,
so
let's go into.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into all of them, but these are some that caught my eye. So here's one. I actually like this. This is from R. Full name not available. Lobbyists and attorneys were shocked. Well, you know what that means. It's a big win for the people. I think that's a beautiful way of saying it. I mean, that sums it up.
It pretty much nailed it.
If the lobbyists are shocked, if the attorneys on that side are shocked, maybe even outraged, then there's been a win for the homeowner.
Yeah.
So I actually like that comment. I thought it kind of encapsulated everything very nicely.
Yeah.
There's some other ones that we just can't read. We had some very favorable, a very kind compliments to us and what we were doing, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool. I'm not going to read those because, I'll let other people read those. But I think that was, it was a testament to what we were doing. And it was nice to see.
Yeah.
So I appreciated those. Here is one though, that I actually kind of like too. This is the best law California has ever made. Maybe not. I'm not.
That's a comment,
but definitely for homeowners. It was one of the. Well, how can I rephrase that? Recently, absolutely. This was one of the biggest leaps. And when we talk about momentum, we talk about the tide shifting. This proves, in my mind, that what we're doing is actually moving the needle.
Yeah.
Making people aware, making policymakers aware, making these movers and shakers in Sacramento aware of the problem.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't even know how big the problem is. But this impacts millions of people.
If there's anything I learned from that Sacramento trip, that sentiment is 100% true.
Yeah.
They don't realize how big the problem is. They realize there's a problem. Like everyone has the story.
Right.
But I don't think they realize how systemic
Correct.
It is.
Correct. And they might even think it's contained to the neighborhood picnic.
But it felt like once we started talking about it, it crystallized. It like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And it was like, it's like the lobbyists and the other side have had such a stranglehold on this quietly that once you brought it up, once you start, getting the word out and people understand it and the movers and shakers start understanding it and they say, yeah, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And regardless of what their party line is.
Oh no, that's
it's agnostic to party. It doesn't matter.
100%. Nobody that we had met had anything negative to say about it.
Other than homeowners, you're moving this in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I will tease two things.
Ooh.
To wrap this up. One, we are working to possibly get the homeowner in the LA Times news article on the podcast.
That's exciting.
Yes. Because I butchered that, but yes, we're working very hard to get her in.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm excited to see that side of the coin.
Yeah, no commitment has been made yet, but I think she would be phenomenal. She's a wonderful person. And she, honestly, she's a real advocate for homeowners.
Yeah.
I love what she did here. She brought her situation, she put the spotlight on it, and I think it's done a lot of good. So
it's huge. I mean, it proves that this story, not only did it get front page, and it got national attention.
Yep.
Picked up by every major news outlet. It just proves that people are hungry for this.
Yep.
The thousands and thousands and thousands of comments too just proves that. I mean, this was Yahoo front page.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like some
it
footnote.
Wasn't buried. It wasn't buried.
It was not buried. This was on the main scrolling headlines.
Well,
and my wife found it completely had no idea. And she just found it. She went there and saw it and she forwarded it to me and said, "Hey, check this out." And she caught it just in her own everyday musings.
Yeah. So no, it was a huge story. It'd be an honor to have her on the show because she really embodies the homeowner advocacy that we love so much.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. And then the last tease is we might have another trip planned. Maybe. We are working on the details. We might be heading east. That might be our next.
That's a good tease. That's a good tease. Right? That is a good tease. And maybe it's a little bit larger.
A little bit larger scale.
Maybe larger scale.
Maybe on a more broad platform, if you will.
Yeah.
So
that's good tease.
Good tease. So
okay, the one thing I did want to mention while we wrap this thing up is we do read the comments on the podcast. So much so, and we do our best to respond to every one that we can. But so much so that someone gave us a suggestion. They really wanted to hear about a certain topic.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So going through the comments, they brought up bad property managers.
Yeah.
I think that is a wonderful, wonderful topic because that comes up so much. And here's a common fact pattern that we see.
Yeah.
Homeowners very mad, not necessarily at the HOA, sort of at the HOA, but at the property manager.
Yep.
They want to go after the property manager. All the venom is towards the property manager. You look at the story, rightfully so, right? Because the property manager was just horrific. But I think the show really needs to look at, okay, legally, what are the relationships between the parties? What makes the most sense? What's the relationship between the homeowner and the property manager? What is the relationship between the HOA and the property manager? And when we talk about relationship, we're talking about legal relationships.
Yes.
And I believe we could add a lot of good there by cleaning up the understanding of how legally those all tie in together. Yeah,
because I think there's a lot of misconceptions.
Tremendous.
And I have seen people, and before doing this, I had no idea. Yeah. Like I hate a property manager or whatever the case is. And you say at the end of the day, you might have to take it up with your board.
Well, yes. And we'll get into that.
Yes.
I never fault the homeowner because even really good real estate attorneys, they miss the mark on this.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before. So we've actually had to go into these cases, unwind what has happened and put it back on track. So I think that's a great topic. And I'm very excited for that one.
I'm looking forward to that one. And I believe that's we're going to be taking that on, I think, next week. So all that to say is we read the comments. If there's something specific that you want to hear about a specific topic, and we find it that it could reach a broader audience, that there needs to be some clarity or light brought to that conversation, we will absolutely do an episode on it.
Yes.
I think that's great. And we've got some other things in the works too to really empower homeowners, that we're thinking a lot bigger and developing a community. And I'm super excited.
Oh, yeah.
And
You're kind of teasing that too.
I know. But
that's like 3 teases right now.
I know.
Right?
I know. But all that to say, we're really have
the
a lot of
community one is cool though. That's gonna be big.
Yeah, I'm really excited about
massive.
that.
Once it launches, people are gonna be like,
we'll bring it here.
Yeah.
But that's going to be, as soon as it launches, we will bring it here. But I'm excited about that. All that to say is we really want to make this podcast and the overall arching thing of Bad HOA is to really make this a community-driven initiative, and bring the community into this.
Correct.
This is not, we're not just putting it out there.
You know, there's power in numbers. We bring the community together. We empower them. And, you know, I think we really start to get a lot of momentum on this. So, Marty, thank you.
This is exciting, as
wonderful.
usual.
Yeah. And thank you guys for watching. And we will see you next time on Bad HOA.